Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Thank you, Jack. I realize.
I want to see you kiss
Oh,
Victor.
me?
Well, I was tapping my glass.
Oh,
They do
dear.
it, but it-
He said that at the board meeting this morning too, so he's just carrying over. He's just,
It's the bow tie, it's too tight. It is. It's cutting off my
You know, I realize that a number of you just sat down with your plates in front of you, so I will not ask you to say anything until you have your lunch. But there are a few folks that I am going to ask to say something that do not have their lunch in front of them. So, but first, we have some guests with us today that have not joined us before, who I would like to introduce. And then I thought we'd go around and just tell them who we are. But my counterpart at the college, the vice president for strategic enrollment management and student engagement, is this charming woman at the other end of the table from me, Lillian Ortiz. So Lillian, thank you for joining us today.
welcome.
And of course, Josh Martin is with us today, and we're going to be well documented today. And Christina, you are normally here.
Get a lot of Quincy.
Yeah. So the table, but everybody has a seat and everybody got lunch, so that's a good first start.
It helps if people respond to my emails.
I wasn't sure.
I would have told them they were more than,
Much worked out.
it worked out.
Had a couple of seats and there were enough sandwiches,
Yeah.
Suzanne, so thank you.
Thank you, Shaky.
So in order to tell Lillian who we are, she knows me, Stephen Budd, Vice President for Community Engagement at Quinsigamond College.
When we met each other, we were at breakfast together for a couple of months ago. I'm Jack at Town. I'm with the Chamber, but I'm also on the Foundation for Quinsigamond. I'm also an adjunct at Quinsigamond. And so I have a real interest in seeing it come to town again.
Mark Hollick, principal at Aspect Valley Regional Technical High School in Marlboro. A big fan of Jack.
He's got to learn how to raise the bar.
Hi, I'm Mary Jo Naraki, and I'm just a community representative.
And you're with Framingham State.
Yes, and I do teach for Framingham State, their international program.
Cool. Chris Seaver, Manager of Education Partnerships with Quincy.
I'm Suzanne Morelli, we were the president of the Marlboro Chamber of Commerce.
Scott Darlington, I'm a career specialist at Hudson High School.
George Lordo, presently this month representing the Hudson School District. School community.
This month, what are you doing next month?
I don't know.
And Beth Wagner, the communications liaison for the Marlboro Public Schools. Community Education Center, and also a president, Jeff Petro.
Oh, the president.
I feel a group hug coming on.
Oh, my God.
Hi, I'm Michelle Tufo-Frey. I'm Associate Dean of Enrollment Management at Quinsigamond. And I'm Christine Whipple. I'm Director of Philanthropic Relations at Quinsigamond.
I am Guy Fieri of the Food Network.
You would. That would be great.
How are you?
Good.
Peter Tamulis from the Training and Education Center.
Thank you.
Michelle, I apologize. I sat there and introduced Lillian, and I did not introduce you.
Right.
It wasn't blatant disregard, it's just anxiousness to move things that sorry. So, for those of you who are joining us from the college today, this is the infamous Marlboro Leadership Group that I have told you about at the various meetings that we on the campus have been involved in. This is the group that came together, much like the leadership groups in some of the other communities in which we have either a satellite operation or delivering classes. And the discussion here has been also much like in the other areas about where we're going and how do we step up activity and what is a prudent way to step up activity. What I've been asked quite a bit, what are the colleges, not only the college's plans, but what are the criteria for moving forward, increasing our presence if that is warranted. But in the last, this academic year, much of the discussion has been around, well, two things. The mix of classes being offered at Assabet High School, and a good appropriate mix that would both attract students but afford students an opportunity to take advantage of then moving on to our community college or another community college or some of the baccalaureate colleges. And Christina has led much of that discussion in terms of the planning of those classes and being the liaison between us and academic affairs, as has Kathy Manning. And at our last meeting, the meeting before, we began to talk about what we had in mind for scheduling there. And I don't know if you have an update for us today?
Sure, absolutely. Actually, what I did, thank you, thanks. Everyone has some information.
Yes.
That you can open up in the very first part that I'm going to just kind of update you where we are. And I'll tell you what, I want to first of all thank Scott Darlington, Mary Jo Nowicki, and Jack from the fan club.
Jack with the fan club.
With the fan club. The vice president maybe. And which is really great, is we met about 3 or 4 times before to really kind of figure out, how we're going to proceed in this. What it basically is, we came together, we decided that Marlboro, Hudson High, Assabet, and the Advanced Math and Science Academy, I don't know if anybody is here for that.
No, he couldn't make it today.
He couldn't make it today, that's fine, we'll get the information. We decided a good way to offer and to bring classes to this area would be to collaborate with these, 4 high schools and try to get a pilot program going. We're gonna be offering actually one course to start off, see how it goes. It's gonna be an online class. It will be a mix of 5 students from each one of the schools that will, get together, probably 20, the max will be 20. And what we'll do is just roll out that course in September. See how it goes, see what happens, and then this can be a model that really we could, kind of picture everywhere else. The beauty of this one, it's a collaboration. Also, it will be Quinsigamond kicking in, it'll be the school district kicking in, and the key thing is the businesses kicking in, which I think is a great model to be able to come and offer these. Now, because it's at 4 different schools, the online component of it will be that hopefully some of the schools, and I know Scott had mentioned that there's a virtual classroom, some of them, so it'll be neat, we'll be able to structure, if it's an online course, those 5 kids in one school can actually go to the room that they have at a certain time during school time, get online, we'll have the adjunct professor from Quinsig, in communication, and that will happen at all 4 of the schools. So what a great situation, because again, I think Scott had mentioned too that sometimes you can have a teacher that's at that particular school to kind of drop in, see how they're doing. So it is online and independent, but it will give them that academic support that they need. So we're really excited about this. Quinsig will take care of everything from the beginning. That's what the concurrent enrollment, that's what the process is we do, right down to Accuplacer. Some of the courses we'll be offering are, in the future may need to have that Accuplacer scores. They have to meet those, so we can bring it there. Not sure how yet, but in your packet you'll see the high schools, various ways that you can link up to get, the Accuplacer people. I mean, at some point, maybe we could even train somebody to specifically come to the schools and do just that. Because I know that Quinsig already does that. We go into, I know Mark, you've had him at Assabet, and I know John Mitchell, but we're moving so much into the high schools that it's becoming, I know poor John Mitchell from our testing department was overloaded for the spring. So to roll this program out, I wanna make sure that all the students have Acuplacer. You know, maybe we can do it just in August, or maybe we can even squeeze it in by the end of the spring. So, very exciting. The course we're gonna offer is PSY 115. It's a self-assessment of career planning. What a great course. Jack had given us some input saying, hey, this is good for the businesses, because what are they gonna touch upon in that course? Career planning. Let's throw in, make sure they touch upon the soft skills. Where is the buy-in from the businesses? The businesses really need to know that this course will not only, you know, educationally, but let's get them prepared for a career. So I think it's a really good choice. I met with, I've already met with Pat Schmall, who's does all the online. We kind of have an adjunct, not adjunct, it's actually a full-time person who teaches the course and would probably be willing to give a little bit more, like maybe at some point meeting face-to-face with the students. If you look at the very first, the model program, what the process is, so we'll select the students, and that we're gonna have to really work on next steps, maybe even get going on that. It'll probably be current sophomores, because we'd really like to start this with the juniors in the first semester, so they can take one course in their junior first semester, another course second, senior first, senior second, so they can actually get 12 credits by the time they end their senior year of courses that have some kind of a pathway or mass transfer, or, you know, I mean, that's the exciting thing about it. So we'll need to schedule a time and day that will be up to the individual schools. It'll be different times because it's an online course that they will need to buy in to find a spot for their students during school time to make sure they check into their online and see where they are, so they do really well. We'll have an orientation for parents. We need to let the parents know what you know, that this is an opportunity for their students to really get ahead of the game, to really, especially those that may be first generation, that we can really let the parents know that, you know, the future of the workplace, you're gonna need at least a certificate, if not an associate's degree, to be successful in any career. So we'll also we'll include the parents from, you know, all the 4 schools and the students. And I'm probably looking at it, I know Scott maybe mentioned Hudson as a central location, so that we get them face to face, we get the parents and the students. That's part of this model, part of this program, because that's very key to, you know, to get them together.
The buy-in.
The buy-in, yep, skin in the games, as we call it, excellent, yep. Orientation for Blackboard. Quinsigamond uses Blackboard for the online delivery, so we need to make sure the students believe that they're all texting and all whatever, but they may not really know how to navigate our system, so that might be a quick training. I know there's one online, so we can provide that. Then we'll do registration and orientation. So somebody from Quinsig will me, I think, will be there and make sure we get the registration signed by the parents, we get the okay, all the, you know, in particular the process that I need to follow when I go out into the high schools and register them for credit courses. We want to make sure that a transcript is generated from that. When they take, the beauty of taking credit courses in the high school is if they create an ID, a student ID, by taking the Acuplacer, and then they take the course and get a grade, it's a transcript. They can carry that wherever they go, and hopefully, you know, we want Quinsig, we're trying to, you know, really mark at the end of it that what a great deal, save yourself money, 2 years at Quinsig, mass transfer. So we'll give them all that information too, let them see what the possibilities are, what Quinsig can offer, what you know, what it is from that route. And during the orientation, we'll also, you know, tell them that we'll have transfer advice for them. We'll, you know, when they're in their senior year, let's go in, what courses have you taken? What's your career path? that's what we hope to offer with concurrent enrollment and this whole model. It's not just throwing a course out there and saying, oh, okay, here you go, 3 credits, let's move. No, it really, I think, is a good foundation, a good beginning for the students to really benefit, let the parents know, and get going from there. When we all got together, we all kind of decided that this is a group of courses that we would like to be able to offer to the high school as we move forward, and we see how the first one goes. Math 100, English 100 are the foundation courses. We need to make sure there may be some readiness some of the students need to get to that so that we can, you know, get the other courses. So we got CIS 111, speech. Speech is one of those courses that's transferable. You know, you look at-
Are all of these in the transfer compact?
all of these are in the transfer packet, and I looked, you know, look closely at that, and if you look at the websites down there, the links, not the websites, but the links, you can get in and see that, you know, that, and I think that's real good for the kids and the parents to see that this is, and I kind of put a sample down there for the course we're gonna offer, where it goes, Framingham State, Bridgewater State, Fitchburg, all of those, you're right in. Then most of the time at Quinsigamond, rather not Quinsigamond, Assumption, they work through their continuing ed program, and they're pretty good with accepting credits. We're not gonna guarantee, but we're gonna give you the information. I just went on the UMass Amherst site, just before I left, and I was checking out transferability. And that's what I would suggest to the students, to go to the actual college you're looking at, see what matches. And we do have some articulation agreements with some of the transfer.
Aside from that, Stephen Ring right now
Yep.
is trying to get with Nichols, make this part of the AP program, where they can do 3 years at Quinsigamond, and then last year at Nichols as a senior. And so we're bringing in people from Marlboro to talk to Nichols people about making that happen.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I really, you know, I know I'm from Quinsig, but I think I'm advocating for the possibilities with all that Quincy has to offer in getting a certificate, and that's why I kind of did a pathway thing. You look at the business pathway that's in here, it shows you exactly what you can get for business certificates, it shows you after that bachelor's where you can go, what you can do, and save 100 something. I figured out the money too. We have, I know Lillian's been going out with that just to, you know, I know saying to, this is money, this is financial aid that they end up, have to pay back, so.
Right, and an important piece of the money that the Quincy, not all the Quincy folks know, is we are asking the area businesses to sponsor these classes. So the students will pay a nominal fee because we feel like they need that skin in the game. But then NVIDIA Bank pick up the rest of the course cost. So it would be the NVIDIA PSY 115 class, and then it might be the Marlboro Savings Bank CIS 111 class. So the business community is also invested in getting the pipeline worker prepared as well. And they've expressed interest in this grouping to do that, so.
And I've got
How
some,
much would that
actually,
cost?
we're gonna get into that. I got the
Wait,
cost.
wait.
That's the hook, Sue. Relax.
What were you doing, Joe? What were you
No,
gonna
I
say?
just wanted
Good.
to add
Yeah.
that as far as like any research or data on this, if you went to the area high school, speaking for Assabet, having been part of it, every year there are at least anywhere between 40 to 50 students who go to Quinsigamond from the high school. So, and Hudson High, I believe the numbers, you know, high. Marlboro, same thing. These kids do go to Quinsig. So this program is going to be so appealing to the students. And one other thing we talked about as far as the student profile when we were aligning all of this is we're looking for the hardworking student. We're not looking for, you know, the top 10% of the class. We want those students who want to go on, I mean, maybe all they want is a certificate or a 2-year degree, but they want to go on to school. So this really targets that middle group of students that so often gets overlooked.
I think that's key, is that there's not a program for this group of students
Right,
in our
and this is
schools.
going to
We
really-
have our,
yeah.
you know, special
You know,
ed
it keeps them in
programs,
school.
have our
Yeah,
intervention
that
programs for
middle
kids that are
world.
struggling,
Yeah.
and then we have our gifted, talented
Yeah.
programs, but we don't have
Anything.
that to up the ante on the kids that are kind of coasting. They could be good academically, but they're not being challenged.
But even why this first course is important, what I found in working at Hudson High was when kids did get accepted, like on-the-spot admissions to Quincy, they weren't sure, why am I going there, what am I gonna take, because what am I gonna do with my life? Because they try to figure it out much too late. This course will actually have students start thinking, so now this is why I'm going to Quincy.
And they think junior
It's
year
real
too,
great.
which is
Absolutely.
good, yeah.
And offering those services, the transferability, you know, to let them know what their options are instead of, and that's a huge thing. In their senior year, we lose so many
Yeah.
that are saying, oh, I'm coming to Quincy, that's the only place I get, whatever. And then they're gone, and we, you know, we never follow them or get them into the next step.
I had a float an idea. That deals with soft skills, which we find that can be an issue. And since I'm speaking to some businesses here.
Big topic here, Rose.
Possibly,
Big topic.
you know, can they intern over the break? Like during intercession, can that be built into the classes that we offer? So maybe they can do a day of shadowing or that would be.
Absolutely.
We
It's a
have
great
done
idea.
that,
Absolutely.
we have done that in the past.
It's a great
We have
idea.
a
Yep.
very active school business committee. And we're going way, way back. When I first took over as president of the chamber, we had an externship program that was created in Marlboro through the chamber that was picked up by the state. So we're not new to internships and such. What I need to know is what you need from a business, because now we're bringing in huge businesses. For instance, Quest Technology, that's going to be moving 1,200 employees into Marlboro as of the end of October, is very interested in getting involved. Their first step is they want to get involved with the Marlboro High STEM program, and which you can talk about later, we're rolling out tonight. But if I as the business community liaison know what you need for internship shadowing and such.
Can I offer something a little more simplistic? You've been involved with this. I've taught a similar course to this, and what we do is we taught business networking. Taught the students how to network, even had them order free business cards. And then went out for an evening of networking with business people. And every time we did it, 1 or 2 people got job offers. One person I know started a business from it. And so it gives them that interaction and shows them how to present themselves. One of the problems we have with students, they don't know how to say please and thank you. They don't know how to say hello and introduce themselves, and then how to say goodbye properly. And so we teach them that in class and then take them out to apply it. And it's 3 hours, okay? It's not like an internship, but gives them a sense of what's expected of them. And also how to dress properly for these types of things. Not that they have to wear suits, but casual business.
But Michelle, I think it's a really good
Yeah.
idea, and looking at the courses offered, it might be able to be worked into the syllabus, but in more than one of the courses that's offered, because I think that's a component that could go through them, so.
And I was just gonna
We could
say
look to
that to
do
Jack,
that.
that's
Yeah.
it. This is a model
Yeah.
pilot program. There is no reason why something like that could not be implemented into it, because I think that's key, an evening. If we're gonna have a whole school, when we're doing orientation, why not have an evening as part of, there are so many, it's really exciting, there's so many elements of this that you
It's like a kid
can.
in Candy Street.
Yeah, I know,
Where
you're
to
like,
start
oh,
and
so
shop.
good.
The other thing that we can also try
Yeah.
to integrate into this program is to have them come out with that National Career Readiness Certificate through the Work Keys program. And actually at our meeting in May, I'd like to focus on getting the business community here to start explaining what the National Career Readiness Certificate is, because it's a statewide rollout. And it is being given to all of the community colleges to use at all of their campuses, which means at Assabet, we will be able to offer this National Career Readiness Certificate that says to the employer, hey, this person's ready to take your job. They've achieved this level of skill. So I'd like to at least begin the education process with the business community, so that when they see this, and there's also a statewide initiative going on rolling this up to
If you
employers.
could send that to me,
I will.
I can send it to the chamber membership.
Okay, great.
And
Yeah, because maybe we want to roll this out.
we might want to roll it out. I mean, it's great to roll it out in this committee,
Yep.
but we might want to roll it out in a larger session as an educational,
My only concern is baby steps.
Yeah.
We come in we want this to be successful, but I think we don't want to bite off more than we can chew. And I think that this is all great stuff.
I have a baby step for you. I was at the etiquette dinner.
Oh, it was
put on
great,
by
wasn't it?
Pat Hutchinson.
Oh, there you go,
Yes,
that was
And
awesome.
she is looking for next year's dinner, more students to attend. And this
There we go.
20 people would be
Oh,
amazing,
excellent.
and she would love to invite
Great
them, so
idea.
I will
I'd like to
close
get the
that
business
loop.
community to come
Yeah.
in too.
And then-
Exactly,
yeah.
it stays in,
The business who have
and
chipped
we
in.
can invite
explain
students.
what that is.
Oh,
Teacher Nacho, you can do this when you're eating.
yeah. It really- So, hotel, hospitality and recreation management, the coordinator is Pat Hutchinson.
Yes,
And,
met.
okay, so she does an etiquette dinner, and it was last week, I think last week Thursday.
I remember Jack telling me he learned
Yeah.
how to eat.
It's a free meal.
And she looks for, it's in the sort of, it's in business and technology, and so she would like to she'll invite businesses to come. And you sit with students, and her classes, HRM 260 something and one, I forget, put on like a 3 or 4 course meal.
They cook it
Where
all.
they cook
Plan
it
the
all,
menu.
they plan the menu, they send invites out, sort of, so they learn sort of this sort of banquet management. And then on top of that, you're learning, so not to do this, and to sit up, and to pass it this way, and
And
you
students sit
learn
at each
how to
table.
conversation. Students are sitting with businesses as well as professors, and it's their final grade. And it was, I mean, you know, stuffed
I know.
beef tenderloin, I mean, it's really something, the food is serious.
That's great, but Christina, why don't you zero back in on where we're going?
Yeah.
This is all
Okay.
great stuff.
Sure,
The
okay.
gym.
So that would be the baby step, would be
Yeah, that
amazing.
would be, yeah, that's awesome, great ideas. One more thing and then I'll be finished, and this is the drum roll, the costs.
Ooh.
Oh,
I think they should.
Oh,
look
okay,
at
I'm
these
sorry,
papers
yeah,
because there
also,
are steps for
in
schools.
the packet, which you can read over, I'm not gonna go through all the steps. What I did is also a process, when, you know,
I
part
like
of this model, there's a process, behind the scenes. We wanna, you know, make sure that Quinsigamond has its credibility, and courses are transcripted properly, IDs for students, so, you know, just the whole thing, what our responsibilities are, what services we'll offer with concurrent enrollment models, and then what the responsibilities are at the high school. So again, just take a few minutes, and then there's a business transfer that actually, Josh, I'm gonna be calling you.
Sure.
To have a brochure made up, that Gail actually took a look at yesterday and said, we'll get that on, in the mix. So we'll sit down on that. But I did meet with Gail, Steve Marini, and Pat Tony and myself yesterday, and it's been a long time coming. We've had pricing all over the board. Some grants have kicked in, some of the high schools have kicked in, we've tried to invoice. But Steve Marini, I thought, did an excellent job. What he did is he took a look at one course, okay, what it costs, not necessarily if you go to the website and see one credit's $181, dollars. No, he said, we need to take a look at the course, okay? As a whole, what Quinsigamond will also be offering, which is, advising and financial aid workshops and, the registration, the people, all the overhead, the indirect, all that business costs that I'm sure the business people are experienced with. And he said, okay, it costs Quinsigamond for one student for one course about $900. Okay? And then Gail also chipped in and said, why don't we do 1/3, 1/3, 1/3? Okay? What that means is Quinsigamond will kick in all the time $300 a credit. I'm sorry, a course. 300, I know I was gonna write this down. $300 a course. So if there's 20 students, it would be $6,000 that Quinsig, here you go, for free, so there'll be no costs. The 2/3 of the cost would be the student, the business, or the school district, which will make sure that everybody gets, so they have a little, if a student can pay $300 for one course, they do it. If there's a scholarship, the business wants to chip in, then they can do that too. And then if the school district has any money in their funding, Mary Jo keeps assuring me the superintendents do. Oh, look at my.
Are they willing to give it up?
Uh-oh. I know. So that's what they wanted me to present today. So 1/3, 1/3, 1/3.
So,
That's
if
reasonable.
if there were 20 students in the class and
Yep.
the company said, I'm gonna pick up the whole thing, it'd be 18,000, no, it'd be 18,000 minus 12. I mean,
No,
minus 6.
it would be, it's 12,000.
So it'd be
Yep,
12,000.
so that would involve the student, Kathy, the district. and
Right, but if we're gonna kick
the
in.
business.
But if the business said, I wanna pay it all.
We don't want it all.
Oh.
We
The
don't
kids
want it
have
all.
to pay something.
We
Because
wanna
we want
give,
students
No, I know,
to have
I
some
know,
skin in
I
the
know.
game.
some may not be able to though.
No, I
You
know, I know.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get
Yeah.
a sense of, okay. I have to make sure my
But
math is
what
right.
they might do is they may say, okay, at $300 per student per class, we will do 6.
Right.
There you go.
1,800 is
Yeah.
not a big
Yeah.
ask.
Yeah,
They may, and I can easily, without committing a video or whatever, I can easily see them coming to the table and say, okay, so if you've got a video with 6 and Marlboro Savings with 3, that's 9 already, you're almost
Yeah,
halfway
wow.
there.
yeah.
Okay, think about it in those terms. I'll work with whomever if you wanna put
Thank you,
together
Suzanne. That's
something.
Yeah, and I think that's a great way to look. And
The
the other
bottom
way.
line here is that you're looking at students taking 12 courses and paying $100 per credit.
4 courses.
Or
I'm sorry, what did I say?
12 credits.
I'm saying 12 credits,
4 courses.
Yeah.
4 courses.
So when the students or the parent comes, what's my alternative? I don't take this option, what would it cost me, 180?
180.
Yeah, but it was 181 per credit, times 3 plus fees. So it's about, it's a,
60%.
yeah.
If you go to Quinsigamond,
Yeah.
If you go to walk into Quinsig, yep,
So there's 4 courses
Yeah.
in this.
there'll be 4 courses when we, yeah.
And
So
if
it
you
would be
had to pay
$1,200
$300, if you
for
had
the
to pay it as a parent or a family, $300, your student's gonna walk away with 12 credits, 4 college courses for $1,200. Are you kidding me?
That's
As an employee, I can't send my kid to Quincy.
Oh my God.
No, you probably
I
can't.
can't.
It's a steal.
Stops them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it works, and
You should
the key thing that works too is that they're transferable credits, because
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
there are students that we tried to run
Okay.
a
Yeah.
Quincy class at night that was not in the mass transfer, and we didn't get the number of people, because we were trying to get a full 20 for a face-to-face class rather than just 5. But I think the key selling point to the parents, and in Hudson, what I do is I would put the Quinsig, no offense to Quinsig, but I would put sponsored by Quinsig at the bottom and just sell it as the early college program, because that's the door you're opening to them. Framingham State, Fitchburg State, all these places, they can start as a junior, taking classes, and in their mind, if they wanna go to Fitchburg, they're gonna pay Quinsig, but then maybe they're gonna take those credits to Fitchburg, or maybe they're gonna come to Quinsig. So I think that's the key thing from a parent standpoint, is it's $300 for 12 college credits, not just community college credits.
But
And
the,
then
but
beyond
the other thing too, though, remember, it's 4 schools. So you're dividing that by 4. Get it? So you got 4, so it's $3,000 that each school chips in for 1 course. That's another way to look at it.
it's just wonderful. This excites me.
Yeah, because you.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, the
They only pay for 5
collaboration with
students.
the company
So
is
they would only
is
pay for
awesome.
5 students.
So they
I'm
only
doing
pay
a-
for
Scott,
5, yes.
what's the
Well, it
thing
actually
about the
bases-
parents? How educated are they? Will they, if you said that sentence to them, did they get that, or they just no idea what it cost in the first place?
Okay, so I think
Well, I
that's
think-
actually a nice segue into our, the
Yeah.
topic that we
Sure.
actually invited
Yeah,
Lily and
yeah.
George to speak
That's our
about.
orientation
Yeah.
thing. That's part of the orientation for parents.
Are we all set with that, though? Is that you think good pricing? No.
It's
Because
good
Oh, I
good
think that's very
pricing.
reasonable.
It just says you're gonna provide the acupuncture for juniors. Now, I understand we currently do that.
Yeah.
But you're really talking about current sophomores.
Rising juniors.
Yeah, right.
So we'd have to do it like
Yeah, we'll
this,
probably have to
spring
do it
to summer.
spring or
Which is
summer.
fine.
Yeah,
But yeah, like yesterday,
Yeah.
Well,
to start off, yeah.
With this psychology course, or the first course.
You might do 8, because what if somebody fails?
No, what I'm saying is, the first course, do they need acupuncture for English and math, or just English?
Just English for
Just
that
English.
particular
We've got
one,
more
which is
success.
good, right, yeah, which is good. Yeah,
So it'd be sophomores currently.
yeah.
Yeah. And Mark, you know that there's some discussion at the state level about what we're gonna do next place in math and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then with these Complete College America, with the meta majors, there's some changes maybe with the math requirements, you know, if certain majors might not need math 100, maybe they go to math 121. So those things are all still being worked out.
They're in
as
the
well.
works.
There's one monkey that's on this, is that the attrition rate for online classes is fairly high. What we're gonna do to counteract that is we're gonna have people on either end supporting these students, because students get lost, no matter how many words you put together explaining how the course runs. They're gonna have problems, and the trick here is to stay on schedule. So by having someone at each end of the course pushing this along, it'll increase the success rate. Also, students are gonna have to learn how to take a course online. That's the college of the future.
Yeah.
And this is gonna give them an edge.
I think one of the things that will assist in that is that they are meeting as five students in the same room at the same time. That
That's
will be
key.
a big help.
Yeah, that's
That's a
key.
big help, because in teaching online classes, you're right, it's far more difficult
Yeah.
than the standard class, more
Yeah.
discipline needed. But they've got some of the discipline already built in, that they're gonna be in the same rooms.
Great.
Plus the help on both sides is really gonna be.
Right, and the plan also, when we talked about it, depending on who the professor is, having them agree to do some face-to-face meetings with them. I mean, we know it's online, it's what, 14
Quasi-hybrid.
weeks?
Right.
It's quasi-hybrid, because you wanna
Yeah,
have
we
those
have
meetings
to.
and bring, even if it's the 20 kids, or go school, like I said, for instance, you might have someone who's willing to go to Hudson High one day, ask about one day, and meet with those kids and just answer questions or what have you. Especially, and who knows, beyond the pilot, I think the people teaching these courses will be they'll be able to be flexible.
Okay,
Right.
ready?
As we call it,
A
flexible.
compliment to what you've done. I think Jack's rubber stamping it is perfect. I said this thing with Scott when we got out of the truck. I said, because one of my other jobs when I retired did the Merrimack Valley, and we had 100% dropout of all the kids that went on the Merrimack Valley. That's Lowell, Lawrence, Haverhill, Newburyport, because these kids were not ready for online courses. They didn't understand the commitment.
Years.
They didn't. What year ago? Was
Was
this
this a
century?
decade?
No,
No, because many of us were not really prepared for it.
I was the
Just checking.
it was a few years ago, but it was true. When we did a survey, because we wanted to know what was happening to our students, particularly going to the community college level, but 100% were taking, the kids were taking online courses. I'm talking maybe about 50 kids of all the schools together. I dealt with 12 high schools. All of them dropped out.
All of them.
These students will not drop out.
We'll make sure.
And there will be face-to-face.
Yes, a compliment to you all thinking ahead.
Just playing
Suzanne, then
devil's
we'll move on.
advocate, what happens if your school has more than 5 that
But
really
also because
want to do it?
But maybe
Well,
another school
online,
doesn't.
online can only be 20.
Yeah, you can't say
Online
that.
can only be 20.
We
So
have to restrict
if
that.
Hudson High has 8 and Assabet has 4
They can have one of mine.
or whatever.
Okay.
I
Say that. I'm not even there.
Thank you very much.
She won't let go.
Still making a decision. We'll let her think she has
Talk a little bit at the last
We did
meeting,
talk
when the
about
4 schools were
sharing.
here, and they did say that,
Okay.
you know, if one was a little heavier, but, you know, there may be a
Delete
very
that,
real
Judge.
possibility that if you go to a wait list, and God, how great is that? Because that's just gonna.
Oh.
You don't,
So
it's not a
if
big
we
deal.
go to
right?
a wait list,
I don't think that's a bad
Eventually,
thing.
eventually,
If we go
in
to a wait
reality,
list-
you would offer, if you had that much interest, pilot year, we probably wouldn't.
Right,
But,
and there'll be
but
some
the next year you do,
face-to-face too.
you have 2
Yeah.
teachers,
Right,
or you just do 2,
Yeah.
2 sections.
But you need more
What a
business.
problem to have.
more
Right,
business.
right, but as,
Yeah.
again, as the businesses get excited about it, because again, we spent all last year listening to the businesses.
That's
and-
right,
And their
Kathy, they were
struggle
talking
with
about-
finding those ready
Yeah.
workers, so
And
they
soft
have an
skills.
investment
Yeah,
in
more than,
getting this done.
Kathy Manning, you want to move us to the next?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, let me just, let
Finish
Michelle
with
go ahead
the-
and finish her
Michelle,
thought, and then we
absolutely.
move to our,
Okay,
Absolutely.
we need to.
As, you know, things happen in like a hop, skip, and a jump. So we're all at the hop stage. But to think about the skip and the businesses, you could, and the dropout rate, so sort of will address many of those issues. If you build it later such that my third, or I might have an after-school job that is connected to this, at the business. So now, when I think about dropping out, I'm gonna lose my job, I'm also not gonna get the credit, so that they're working in businesses where they might later be offered a job. The business itself can groom these kids as well, soft skills
Good
being
point, you
addressed.
have more buy-in.
And you get more buy-in, and the students could work for either part of this, or instead, quick perform pay, I don't know about that part, but they could be working towards the commitment, the 2/3.
Yeah.
The
So
business.
now you might be able to spread that money even further.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
So the internship is for
Very
the money that they
creative, out of the
donated.
box.
She's in our
And
box.
so now you also,
Yeah, Michelle.
Yeah, that is, I like incentives.
Earn your lunch.
Good.
everybody left here.
You're a piece of cake on your way out.
I appreciate it.
Don't forget
You're
there
in
is,
our subcommittee,
there is
Michelle.
cake over there.
You're now a member.
Some of you recall that also at one of our meetings, just a few meetings ago, we pulled a group together, representatives from this group, representatives of my office and other areas of the college, where we had a conversation about the college's interest in doing some strategic outreach. And we talked a little bit about what we are viewing as the ambassador model. And that has already begun, and Lillian, Ambassador Ortiz, can tell us a little further. But we also began a draft of a brochure. I think we're close to finishing that, but so that will be available. But I talked about the president and the vice president going out and visiting business and industry, and pumping up the college. And again, that ambassador that I was talking about was Dr. Ortiz.
Well, I will share with you that the first piece of this ambassador model has been with superintendents and school committees. So what we have done, what President Carberry and I have done, is we have compiled a list of the top 10 towns in which we receive enrollment, our highest level of enrollments, of course Marlboro is included, and we have visited with superintendents and with school committees. We've asked to be invited, and they have welcomed us. And we're so happy, I'm so happy to sort of report that we have been well received across the region by all of these folks, especially here, and have received some great feedback from parents and members of school committees and superintendents about the good work that we're doing, that the students that are coming to us are being successful. And we've been able to report numbers, and we've been able to report graduation rates, and we've been able to report also the concurrent enrollment programs and how we want to continue to partner with all of our school committees and the superintendents. So the second part of our ambassador tour is going to be with businesses. So the president is interested in engaging your businesses in this area and sort of talking about what is it that we're doing here, what can we do better, what are we offering, what are their needs, and how can we partner together to make sure that we're providing the courses and the programming that's needed in this area. So that's what we're ramping up for now.
Well, I did offer to Dr. Carberry,
Okay.
my assistance,
Awesome.
so, and that was a couple months ago.
Yeah.
You were very well received by the Marlboro School Committee.
Excellent, yes.
Yeah, and so that came across very positive.
Very welcoming, very great. So that's sort of our next step, and so any sort of information, feedback, any assistance and support you can give to me at this point in time around that, some advice about how to engage would be welcome.
The marketing brochure will be key,
Okay.
his program is key. And, just so that you have something that you can email them up front, ask for an appointment. I will offer my services to help you connect and/or go with you. We have relationships with a lot of the companies because as I said, we're onboarding them right now. There's 2 major companies that have just come on board to the chamber that are life sciences. So, we're working closely with that sector right now. That's why the STEM program is so essential to what we're doing, but this is phenomenal. This is small business to large business across.
So you can help us perhaps select the top 10 or so employers or top
Absolutely.
5 that you think would benefit from our visit and want to learn about what we're doing, or engage at this point. That's great. That would be a great support.
I think the other big initiative that this group has worked on this year is really looking at the enrollments at Assabet. And they've been pretty flat for the past, I don't know, how many years have we been there? 4 years? 4 years or so. And the feeling of this group had been that they were flat for a couple reasons. One, there wasn't visibility of the offerings that were offered. There perhaps wasn't the right portfolio of classes being offered. There's a lack of support, not support, but of services at the local level. So if they want an active place, they have to go to Worcester. If they want financial aid, they have to go to Worcester. If they want admissions, they have to go to Worcester. So this group had talked a lot about the appeal of the courses in the mass transfer block, and that students in this area would find it appealing. Students don't know what it is, and if we offered it, they would come. So the academic deans have programmed the slate of courses for this fall to reflect this mass transfer block. Now our challenge is to get the word out to the students. These classes are here. This is what a mass transfer class is, and hey, look at all these benefits. And I didn't even know some of the benefits.
That's right. You know, the business community doesn't know this.
Right. So that was, that was the other piece that we spent a lot of time on in the past couple of meetings as well. And so we also wanted to make sure that got addressed.
Kathy, on that note, would Quinsig consider a presence? Because I agree with you, what you're saying, and I think one of the ingredients, and not like the cure-all, would be a presence, a Quinsig presence in Marlboro, be it at, the courses are offered at Assabet, so let's just say, this is hypothetical. There's modulars there now. I know there's a building project. I don't know anything about how that's going, but if they had space there,
Yeah.
something, I think that it's only one little bit, but you need a presence because it's like, it's so.
I agree. And
Just
one of the challenges that Quincy has, obviously, is we're constrained by state funding, and we've got expansion going on all over the place. Big expansion going on downtown Worcester. So Suzanne and I talked about going to Assabet and asking them, would they be willing to either find us some space inside the school? If that wasn't possible, maybe having a modular presence.
Right.
Because I see them every day when I go by.
Yeah.
The other thing, which I think is even a better option, is to get the Solomon Pond Mall to
Yes.
donate some
They
space
haven't
for
gotten
one
back
stop
to me
enrollment
yet.
center.
We were down there this
Okay,
morning,
it's
and it's
empty.
loaded.
I know.
What do we
It's
say?
empty, but.
There's a lot of
There's,
space.
there is a lot. Now, I know there's some big
They're not
stores
gonna give
going
you
in
a
there.
storefront.
All right, I'll tell you what I did, okay, based on our last meeting.
Right, right.
okay, You and I had talked,
Yes.
and Jack, about the possibility of having a presence at the mall.
Uh-huh.
So what I did is, I did some research to find out what would it be and what would it cost. And here's what I found, okay, and I have some sheets that I'll hand out to you in a
Oh,
minute.
good, okay.
I
Okay,
spoke
further
to
than I
the
did.
mall folks. They are not gonna donate anything. That's not what they do.
Probably why they didn't get back.
Okay. The monthly lease is negotiable, but slightly. So at the current time, there is a storefront available, and it would be $2,240 a month for the rent, okay? When you factor in the staffing and everything else that we need to actually create some kind of a presence of some sort that would do things such as having an advisor there, a financial aid person of some sort, and all of this is speculation at this stage. The furniture, the signage, the supplies, all that sort of thing. They would let us do a pilot for 6 months.
For 12 grand.
The pilot would be, we would not, because one of the restrictions that a lot of malls have is that you have to be there the entire time,
Yeah.
7 days a week, from 10 a.m. or whenever they open to 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock at night. That would be lifted, so we wouldn't have to be there the entire time. But it would be 7 days a week. And we could say, for example, open up at 10 to 7 o'clock at night, And on Sundays it would be from noon time to 6 o'clock, that sort of thing. When you factor in everything, and that includes the staffing and everything else, the supplies, the IT, the phones, everything, okay? The way I calculate it out as an approximate cost for 6 months would be $100,000.
Did you do that with existing staff doing a rotating
Correct.
schedule or with
Correct.
new staff?
Correct, yeah, I
With
did.
existing staff?
It's just
Okay.
approximate.
Yeah.
And when you look at the potential, I mean, you could probably cut a lot of different things out of it, so you can get it down to 90,000 for 6 months. But that's what it would cost approximately, give or take.
One of the things we didn't talk about, there's open space in downtown Marlboro, storefront, actually right in back of me, on Main Street.
Jimmy Golden.
Yeah, it might be,
$4,000.
it'll be less than the 22, it may be less than the 2,200.
But again, one of the things we liked about that was the traffic.
Yeah.
The foot
Because
traffic.
what it does is
Foot
it gives you a
traffic.
dual benefit. Number one, it gets you those services locally, but it also gets you the visibility. So those people in Shrewsbury that are back to school shopping in August, I'm like, oh, Quincy gets here. And without having to do the
That's a good
massive
point. That's a
advertising
good point.
campaign.
That is a very good
Or
point.
people from Maynard
Yeah,
who don't.
because all that foot traffic through there is,
Fire alarm.
you know, all the targeting area, so.
Do you have to have all that stuff for them there? Could you just have the set, I mean, I don't know.
That's bare minimum.
Yeah.
That's a good question. I mean, I think we could spend some time brainstorming how to get this down, you know?
You could get
Just a
it
kiosk
done.
with an application.
Manager
I
and
mean,
Sheila.
we can do
The
some.
marketing
Oh, yeah,
manager.
yeah, I spoke to the leasing manager and I spoke to Sheila.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
they were all
That's why she
involved.
probably didn't answer me, because she was talking to you directly. Okay,
Don't know.
okay,
Good answer.
that's okay. I mean, good.
Again, this is just approximate. I think we can get the cost down. I think we can get a few dollars off for the rental. As far as the staffing and all that, that would be kind of a thing that the VP can take a look at and see how that would work. And again, this is just bare bones. This is 3 people. A sort of receptionist, greeter, and then 2 staff with the expertise.
What kind of leasehold improvements are you talking?
Sorry, what?
What kind of leasehold improvements are you talking about? What do we have to put into the storefront so that it
Well,
looks?
you'd have, well, the second page shows you where it's located. The US military just vacated it.
Yeah, yeah.
They were recruiters, so I think the store is in good shape.
Right in front
It
of
is.
Sears.
Who was it, who was there? Was it
It's like
first
Subway.
floor,
It was,
second, was it
recruiters.
a pet store?
No, no.
It's
was,
second floor, correct?
Second floor. It
Upper
was,
level, yeah.
So it's right by
military
Fridays there,
recruiters.
which is good too.
It's
Oh,
right
yeah,
beside
okay, it's right by
TGI
Fridays.
Fridays.
It's a small store. It's
Yeah, but it's not bad.
725 square
Or we
feet.
could have signage with pointing towards it within the mall.
What I meant by signage was the signage on that section.
Yeah, but I'm
the
saying for
storefront.
additional too.
That would be no charge. That would be the mall.
But so Victor, if you used existing staff, you can take the 30,000 for advising and financial aid out.
Correct.
Same thing with the receptionist.
Yeah, it would depend on, you know, who's available, when they can do it on weekends or not, or if we have to hire new people, so that's a good point.
And the same thing with phones, if you ever want a cell phone, you take $6,000 off the phones right there.
Absolutely.
I just say, just.
Cut down the workstations, maybe to 2.
Suzanne, can I just interrupt for a second? I've lost sense of what our time allotment is for this meeting. I
Oh.
want to be careful.
Well, usually we're supposed to
We're into the
get out
future.
by
We usually go to 1 hour, so
1 hour, an
Usually
hour
go
and
to
a half.
One
An hour and a
thirty.
half, really, we've got until 1:30.
okay, so we go a little bit longer? Okay, good. Thank you.
This is such good stuff, and I've never seen a meeting that's been so successful as this one.
But
This
Victor
is-
too, and
Victor,
with the
what a
additional
great job.
furniture, with all of the, with Grove Street moving downtown, there's all that furniture now, that's not going with us. So that can all
So
go.
about petitions, do you have
Just cut
petitions?
off
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
modular furniture that's
Absolutely.
not going.
How much
It's
have you
just-
saved so far?
I've saved
It's
almost
free.
all of it. The workstations,
Well,
too.
we can start tomorrow.
We can bring our own chair. Honestly, I'm looking
Kathy, they're gonna start paying us to go down there?
I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh, you know, this.
Well, you know, one thing you don't want to
I
do
think
is
it's a
to
great
make it look
idea.
like it's old already, so, you know,
Yeah.
keep that in mind
Yeah.
as well. I mean, we can do a lot of different things, and she's right, we have a
You
lot
got
of stuff that we can
yeah.
change
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
You know, we've used office equipment folks to come in and, you know, do a design and all that and set it all up. If we're gonna do it right, we want it to look, you know, super, like, attractive without a doubt. So, you know, I don't think it's gonna cost $100,000. Again, this was just speculation. This was not anything
Worst case
scientific as
scenario.
far as the
Yeah.
way I figured out how much it would cost us
It's
to
good for us to
operate.
see.
I think we could use cell phones. We've tried to do that in Southbridge as well. It works sometimes, doesn't work other times. I think it's important that, you know, that we have everything top notch, but if we don't have the funding for that, I mean, obviously we have to cut.
Victor, this is great, you gave us something to talk
Now,
about.
what's,
Yeah, exactly. You got
What's
something to
the
think about, talk
probability?
about.
what's the probability of Quincy doing this?
Good question. I mean, other folks have to, you know, talk about it. Other folks have to think about it.
Well, let me just put something on the table in the spirit of transparency and truthfulness and honesty. We're moving downtown. And we're also in the process of trying to negotiate some things with Southbridge as well in reference to moving fiber optic in. So there's a lot of involvement there and a lot of commitment there already. In reference to moving downtown, our initial plan, sort of business plan, is we're moving our 500 students with the faculty downtown with no additional enrollment services staff up front. The expectation is these are folks that are already enrolled, already have their financial aid in place and this kind of thing. What we're now being sort of asked by the staff, are you gonna put any admissions folks advising them? And we're saying no, in the spirit of trying to save and trying to figure out how the best business plan we can put together. Let's settle there, let's figure out what the community needs are, and then sort of based on sense of urgency being pushed from the community, do we need to have other staff members there? Because what you start to do, in essence, is if you start to move from folks from the Worcester plant over downtown, you start to dilute services on the actual campus, which is the 8,500 students as opposed to the 500 that are going to the health services. So I just want to just put that out there, just as a point of information, that right now the sort of marching orders are, we're not going to be placing folks, and we're going to be there by September, which is a tighter time frame. So this is always, you know, things are always up for conversation. We will bring this back to the president. Obviously, this is exciting. I would love to make something like this work. This is exactly what we're here to do, is to try to make something like this work. But I think that's just to put sort of reality into the next year about what my reality is and what my understanding is to date. Things could change very quickly.
Is it feasible to think that you could do for 6 months or even 4 months, you know, rotate admissions and financial aid and, you know, advisors, we have to go to advisors through, so, you know, maybe one day, you know, you're in Marlboro, the next day you're in Southbridge, the next day you're downtown, the next day you're on the main campus. And then start a rotation
Well,
like that.
that's what we do in Southbridge. We have, I always call it tag team, and we have different advisors come on different days. We have 2 permanent folks, 2 senior enrollment management and financial aid counselors. And I think that's important to have those kinds of folks, because that expertise is needed. If you're gonna do a storefront, such as, or anything like this, that's important to have that expertise there. Because you don't want to be sloppy. You don't want to say, well, I'll get back to you on this, or you know, you got to go to Worcester or whatever.
Because if you could do this mid-July to mid-January, then you catch your fall semester and your spring semester.
Let me just say this, I mean, we looked up in Southbridge that the 2 folks that he's talking about have multiple expertise. So they have financial aid, they learned admissions, they've had advising, and so it's 2 people who can do all
Actually,
of those things.
there are almost 5.
So.
Oh, you mean 2 people? You mean
Enrollment
Michelle?
counselors,
Yeah,
Michelle
I'm
and
sorry. I'm
Rebecca.
sorry. Talking about Rebecca and Michelle.
Yeah,
correct.
so in terms of enrollment and enrolling, we really sort of lucked out to be able to get like a bunch of things in 2 people. And that would be very important here.
I have another thought. The mall is great, because I like the visibility, and that's where the kids are. There's another place where the kids are, particularly over summer, and we have a location in Marlboro, Hudson, and Framingham. What about the Boys and Girls Club?
I just don't know
And
if you
they
get the
may
kids that are
donate
that
all
Not
young.
the older kids, they don't.
They only go through
I think that's a great idea, Vic. When I worked for Mass Bay, we had a storefront at the Natick Mall. Problem we had was that we didn't have enough staff, so after a while, well, the council will come tomorrow, or the financial aid, we blew it, we made a mistake. But I do think the concept is if we can't do it in the mall, and I have questions this mall compared to other malls. I was at the Burlington Mall the other day picking up some shoes, and I couldn't believe how big it is. You know, the thing was the fact that whether it be at Assabet in the trailer or even across from the chamber office in Marlboro, the concept of having somebody there to give advice when people need it, even if it's open 2 days a week, the office next door to yours or something, or the Assabet office, we know everybody's going to be there. It's advertised. We're here Tuesdays and Wednesdays, or Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. It'll be good for people. I think the thing is important that we don't blow it like we did at Mass Bay. We blew it.
Full commitment.
A full commitment to it. And I'm not sure that mall is the place. I mean, I wish it was a bigger mall. Linens and things left, you know, putting in the arcade.
Well, the whole idea
There's an arcade.
is just a
there.
pilot to see how it would work. And I think that, I mean, speculation-wise, we think it could be a good idea, you know, back to what Kathy was saying about traffic and the types of folks that go to a mall. So there'd be a little more homework to do, I think, to see, you know, what kind of traffic, for example. They probably have all statistics about who goes and what times and the best times to go. I mean, you know, certainly Saturdays would be for your high school students more than any other day probably. But again, it was just something that we had talked about briefly at a meeting, and I just took it upon myself to check out what it would cost. And, you know, Kathy's right, we can knock the $100,000 down. I think to a certain extent.
For less than 6 months?
Yeah.
Would they rent for less than 6 months?
I'm sure we could talk to them, yeah.
Periodically,
Yeah.
Who historically attended those classes, though? What was it, more adults or more, do you know, Kathy?
I don't know, I would have to pull an enrollment report and look at
Yeah,
that.
because that's who you want to market to. It's not
Right.
just, you know, high school kids.
What I think too, Victor, I think what we should also look at is what would we need for a net increase in enrollment from this
Yeah.
area to make this
Yeah.
worthwhile?
Right.
What does success look like? Because I do think that we're gonna see enrollment increase both at the Assabet site, but I also think you'll see it increase at the main campus site. So what would the college look at to say, all right, if we invest X dollars, we would expect to see X number of students, new students, or FTEs, or however you wanna put it in, and then see whether or not we think that that's feasible.
That's an easy
Well, you know,
number.
part of the intention.
Yeah, I don't think it's a
We have
hard
it
number
already.
to come to.
Part of the intention of QCC, when we initially went to the Galleria Mall in Worcester, at that point, it was not falling apart. I mean, the store, there were still stores there, okay? And as you guys probably all realize, we were members of the college consortium in Worcester as well, and 9 other colleges were involved in looking at the potential. And we were gonna have what was called, and Kathy knows this as well, College Alley. And that section of the mall was gonna have logos embedded in the floor of all the different colleges, and they were all gonna have some kind of a storefront, okay? And then all of a sudden, some of the colleges were starting to back out. Clark was gonna go in, Assumption was gonna go in as well, Becker was gonna go in. And we were gonna have banners and all of that throughout the mall, which we ended up doing. But they backed out, I think, and this is just my opinion, to see if QCC would be successful, okay? So we did, in fact, go there, and we had 2 locations, diagonal from each other. One was strictly Kathy's area, Training and Education Center, and we had 2 receptionists, one on each side, and the stores were still there. And unfortunately, the mall started to shut down, almost right after we did all of that. But yet, despite that, and despite all the stores going out, Kathy and her group still maintained that mall location. I think, had the mall continued to be vibrant and workable, we wouldn't be discussing this today. We'd be saying, oh yeah, we're gonna go do it. But unfortunately, the mall collapsed.
This mall is really going upscale. This mall is now the Solomon Pond Mall. is now looking to turn the page and to bring in a higher end
Good.
of client.
Great.
And I think that's good for Quincy.
I did
Because
hear
those
that-
are the parents who are going to be sending their kids
It's not just the
to
kids,
college.
it's
And-
adult parents,
Well,
young
that's it, and
parents.
it's the
Yeah, we
business
wanna-
people that are
we
in
wanna get
here. I did
adults.
hear that in two of the larger footprints, the Disney store and the and Brookstone, Apple is going in there.
Yeah,
And I
okay.
heard H&M is going upstairs.
And I just heard that Coldwater Creek is shutting down.
Yes, they are shutting down May 7th
Yeah.
or thereabout, which is another big footprint that will be vacant. But just to, because I know we're sensitive to time.
Kathy, could I just add one more thing?
Yep.
And I don't mean to break the momentum here. I think something we could offer, even at Assabet, I'm just, as everything's going around, $100,000, oh, let's cut this. An idea I have is, how about every Wednesday night, it's QCC night at Assabet, every Wednesday night from 6 to 9, and maybe have some representative with a table in the front lobby. On a given year, we have 6,000 to 8,000 adults who come in. Now, granted, people who are 80 years old coming in for a how to make cupcakes class is not gonna sign up, but
I don't know.
they might have a grandson, granddaughter, a daughter or whatever, who said, hey, I was just at Ashford taking the cupcake class, and I picked up some flyers next Wednesday night from 6 to 9. Every Wednesday night, just make it like a regular Archie Bunker thing. Every Wednesday night from 6 to 9, there's gonna be a rep of QCC at the front vestibule there, or a foyer, representing Quinsigamond. So maybe you get 2 people tonight, and you sit there for 3 hours and they go home. The next Wednesday night, maybe they have 15 people and say, we're overwhelmed. You need this, it's, you know, go over to the main campus. Oh, you need this, that's right upstairs with, you know, the group that's already upstairs taking classes. That, I don't know how much that would cost you on your end as far as staff, but we'd set up a folding table, you bring your nice blue banner with the QCC logo, and you drop it there, and people come in for square dance and say, what are you guys doing
That could
here?
happen right away.
It can happen
That's-
tomorrow night,
that's-
it's
yeah,
up to you,
that's-
but
That's easy, but it doesn't solve our problem of local services on the.
every Wednesday night at Assabet, there's a table there.
One thing I just wanted to bring to the perspective of trying to run a Quincy class at Hudson High School is that this Metro West area is different than Worcester. It's different than the closer in suburbs. I live in Lowell, it's different in Lowell, and we've got a large group of immigrants. We've got that, and they get it right away. They get the opportunity, they get the idea of that you go there, you go somewhere else. Then we have a lot of upper middle class kids that want to go to UMass Amherst, and they haven't done the work, and they've got 3 months to go, and somehow they're just gonna end up at UMass Amherst. And so you gotta burst the bubble, and I've been bursting a lot of bubbles, and then, I'm not gonna go to Quincy, that's where these other kids go. You know, so there's that mentality. And so I think you need to realize that when you come in as a marketing, you're almost marketing to 2 different groups. I hate to divide up people, but the immigrant families understand the value right away, and they get that it's a stepping stone to somewhere else. Whereas the families that I think come from more economic means, they see it as like it's a failure of an end because I was supposed to go to BC magically, you know what I mean? And so what you need to market to that group is mass transfer. You can go to Freedom State. All the articulation, which I've learned about this year, but any of the vocational groups too, you also got some kids that just want to get a trade really quickly after high school. They don't want to go to school, they just want to get a trade somehow. And so the way you market it, I think, is
So I guess I guess the question to you, Lillian, is can we do some target marketing around that mass transfer that touts the benefits of? Go ahead.
We really do.
We do it already.
We do it already. And we had a transfer night, we have transfer nights. The whole point is to come and see, start here. And that's what we say, start at Quincy.
we took 10 high school kids to the career
Yeah.
transfer
And
thing.
we do start here, and we talk about our mass transfer. I mean, and it's, the benefits are just extraordinary, beyond just transfer, but just the cost savings. They serve a third on the tuition. So we have, Josh will tell you, we have marketing that says start here and go wherever.
So it's a
a
question
great place
of
to
getting
start.
that marketing to a freshman in high school,
Well,
to a sophomore in high school, and to
and
their
the
parents.
Because
Because
it's a
senior
process
years-
to
Get it to the parents,
Yeah.
the decision
That
That's where-
has been not.
That's where we
That
can
is
come in,
very
that's where a
different.
program like this,
Yes.
with,
Right.
without those brochures sitting on the table, all
I mean,
these
last
info
year
nights.
we did it, we said to
That's
the
what we-
parents, we really do try, but I think that is, the difficult part, to get it in the hands of their parents. So you can say that, and we have, I don't know, marketing that says, if you started at Quinsig and ended at WPI, it would save you $123,000.
That's the marketing works,
That's
and
the hook, yeah.
the WPI cost is starting to hit those families,
Yeah.
so they're finally starting to get it, but it's such like
You know,
a
this
slow
worked,
process.
it worked for Jesus Christ. You gotta start using parables.
Yeah.
He started a church with them. I mean, we've got stories about WPI who chases down our engineering students and wants to make sure they go there. So last year, they said, what happened to this student, because they were tracking him? They said, oh, he went to, was it Clemens or Cornell? Cornell. I mean, those are the stories they have to hear. They have to hear about the woman who's gonna be speaking at the commencement this
Yeah,
year.
they wanna see a
Who
personal
went
story.
to
and put
Quinsigamond
themselves
and
in.
then ended up going to Smith and getting her PhD and now works for the
Gates
Gates Foundation.
But having those kind of scenarios set up for guidance counselors as well,
Yeah.
because that's another nut
Post on
that's
my
hard to
door.
crack.
We have all those
is to-
We
materials.
have them already.
Yeah.
We have all those materials. They're on
have
our
all those
website.
Yeah.
But
They're in
I guess my
publications.
question is, have you focused on the transfer, you know, as
Yes.
much as?
I think it's a matter of getting them out, you probably have.
Get it out.
Okay.
I think when you talk to the parents, Mount Wachusett, I used to be a principal up in another job. But one of the things with Mount Wachusett would come to all our parents' nights that we had. They always have a table of information there. So the parents, when they're waiting in line and waiting to pick up, they think, oh, you know, what do you got to do? So they start getting educated. Because true, most of the parents who do go, either the kid's in real serious trouble with the teacher, or the kid, they don't need to go because the kids are getting A's anyway, but they want to look them face to face with the teacher. But the parents were picking up things, and we found, well, we kept having it for all the open houses. Was the college was always there, it's your local community college, this is what they have to offer. Of course, you offer 10 times more than Mount does. And now, and just that was so the guidance, parents' night, the information night, always there, present. When I was in another job up in Nashua.
How many jobs have you had?
Very old. I'm looking, but I'm very old. And but in Nashua, one of the things we did with Nashua Community College, technical college, it was called at the time, was kids weren't going there from Nashua today because they did not know what they had to offer. And Nashua High at that time, grades 10 through 12, I had over 2,800 students. So I had New Hampshire Technical Community College come in a half a day every week. One day was in the morning, one was in the afternoon to educate those kids. And they had an office, they had all these brochures that it was theirs. This was the college office, it was going to take place. We increased enrollments to the community college by 10% that next year.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Well,
and you know, I
Scott,
just.
if you want to show what you did, also, yeah, talk a little bit about that, because that's what we hope to market too, with this model program.
We gotta wrap it up.
No, thanks.
Wrap it up.
But along those lines, we've
Well,
had
yeah.
Emily Stempler just coming out for like a half day, and we've taken kids that are already did on-the-spot admissions, but they have no idea what they wanna do, and they've sat down with Emily and kinda gone through the courses and stuff, so. But I just tried to make, like, this is a draft, I think I just took the wrong Marlboro logo, so you'll have to give me the right one, but this was basically kind of like, I'm trying to do some kind of a little brochure, similar to how Chris did it in the list format. Just to kind of, again, marketing the mass transfer, marketing early college, that idea, to those groups of parents and students, and the cost savings, well, now that we have the costs, to put those in a comparison chart. You know, as I looked at it, it would be about $100 per credit if we did this online program. It would be about, so that would be 300 a class, right? So it would be about 600 a class, roughly, if you go to Quinsig on campus, right? And then I would estimate a state university like a Freeman would be close to 1,200. I don't know if I'm low on that. And then if you went private, it would be like 4,800. So you're really, to make a table with the cost comparison for parents is the last piece of this. It's not here yet because we didn't have those costs. So we're just trying to lay out the courses and also sell it as early college, mass transfer, sponsored by Quincy Community College.
And I also think that we have to take advantage of the fact that colleges are shifting away from the need-blind admissions policies. And, you know, now they're looking at the kids that can pay versus need-blind, and that's gonna also cut access to, you know, some of these pricier universities. So, I mean, I do think that the cost factor, it's a huge asset for Quincy. I think Mass Bay is kicking our ass when it comes to visibility of community colleges. They're just a more visible presence, and, you know, we have more to offer this area, and I think we need to step it up in this immediate area, let people know we're here.
I agree, the press releases from Mass Bay, 6 to our 1.
Yeah, so we gotta get the word out, and I think, you know, we've got this, I think we've got a great complement of programs that will appeal to that group that Scott talked about, that we've talked a lot about at this meeting, and, you know, I think if we jump on it, I think we do see some real enrollment growth in the fall.
Would it help, we have a business after hours at the Wayside Racket Club where we award our scholarships on June 5th, and we award our scholarships to Hudson, AMSA, Assabet, and Marlboro, but we also do a 5th one for people who live in Marlboro and go to school somewhere else. But also, we also present the Wayside Racket Club two sponsorships, and the Hologic, we manage, my foundation manages the Hologic Scholarship Fund. So that's a way of pulling in that big company as well. Would it be advantageous to have these brochures there that evening for the 100 people or so who show up? Where
Or
it's
have Quinsigamond
educational
as a sponsor
focus,
that speaks.
or have Quinsig's be a co-sponsor for the event. Would that help?
I think any way we can get our name
Well,
out.
there's many ways. Peter joined me on one of our first Tuesday business talks, and it was great reception you had, right? Yeah, great reception. It was small, it's a very small meeting, but I'm learning a lot here because there were things I didn't know.
This is how Aspet started. It was one of your business meetings, President's Club, and Mary Jo came in.
It was one of my president's luncheons.
Yeah.
It's Mary Jo's fault.
It all started with Mary Jo, and
And Jack was chairman of the board.
Yeah, I still think I'm there.
And she said she won grades 13 and 14. And that's how we.
We jumped on that so quick,
2010.
of course you changed
Now,
your
here we
mind.
are, 4 years later, look how far we've come.
So can we just wrap up with some action items for, because typically May is our last meeting until September. We don't meet in June, July, and August unless it's smaller subcommittees. So, for the wrap-up meeting, action items.
Kathy, I need to really get some commitments from the 4 schools, and a lead person that I can go to, so that I can establish get the AccuPlacer going there. So I think, you know, again, our subcommittee's gonna
We'll
have,
meet,
is
yeah.
that okay, Jack?
I'm with you.
You guys, okay.
Have you already
good.
established a subcommittee meeting date that we can?
Not the next one, but yes.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Mark,
I
that'd be
mean, I'm
great.
amped up to go back and present, I mean, I know the sophomores have a class meeting.
Yeah.
We're up to 5.
Yeah.
Who's interested, and then bring that back.
That
We're
would be
gonna meet.
great, that, okay,
Get
so
the
we
ball
got one
rolling.
Scott, we can get, yeah, if
And
we
that's
can
it.
identify the 5
Dr.
sophomores.
John.
We need
So
to-
you want the actual students identified
I
by,
think if
you're gonna try to do
possible,
that?
Kathy.
What,
Yeah.
how much are you gonna charge them? Are you gonna tell them? Because they're gonna bring it
Are you
home.
gonna charge
Say how
them?
much.
Yeah, we don't have that ready yet.
Well, I'll go through the explanation of the 1/3, 1/3, 1/3,
Because it's
and then it's
300.
it's 300 per student, but then we have businesses that may offer scholarships, you know, that's, I
Well,
probably would
I'm
have to
thinking-
contact.
So if you
But
have
I'm
5.
thinking also, our Marlboro Regional Community Foundation, our foundation has a sizable scholarship fund.
Mhm.
Right now, we're giving $5,500, $6,000 a year
Mhm.
away, but if I brought it to the foundation board, possibly
Mhm.
we could fund a couple of the
Okay.
students,
Okay,
and be the lead.
okay, good.
I think the Quinsigamond Foundation would entertain,
Okay.
give us a presentation what you're looking for, and they'll give
So
you
there are
the-
options
Can you bring that to
we
the
need
foundation?
I can bring it,
we
but
can-
but you might wanna
yeah.
bring Chris in
Sure.
to talk
Yeah.
about it.
Absolutely.
Can you report back in May? Do you have a foundation meeting between now and May?
I don't think so, but I can do
See, I
something
don't have a
online.
foundation meeting.
Okay,
between now
so
and
Yeah,
can-
the
I'll
next
just put it down
foundation
that you'll see if you can check into it for
Yeah.
reporting of it.
I'll give Larry a
And if you
call.
could, and then we may have some more concrete, you know, what
If
the
you
students
think of
should
the
be.
numbers, I mean, collectively between the four schools,
Appreciate it.
what, 800 students, we're looking for 20,
Yeah.
and the first 20 who can pay $300 are in, right?
We can pass
Okay.
it out.
No,
But
we need
should
to,
we
we need
do-
to have a
I
night
know,
to
we
explain
need
to
to qualify
parents.
it.
I think like an
Yeah.
information night.
That's fine, but I'm just saying, there's.
Explain what it is, explain mass
There's a relatively
transfer.
large pool that we're fishing.
You
Yeah.
put out something nice on the round robin, when you were doing the other one, that we didn't end up running, but that was nice that went out on the round robin.
Yeah, and we did a night at Hudson
Yeah.
High too, but I think
We
we
did
need
a
to do
night.
something where you get, kids from the four schools, maybe at one of the schools at
Right, at a
Assabet,
whole school,
or
that's what it,
Hudson or
yeah, the
Marlboro,
plan is, yeah.
and with their parents,
Yeah.
so
Or
that you
should
can
we
lay the
even-
costs out and the benefits right there.
Even though it would be more labor intensive,
Too.
if we
Yeah.
could, between now and the next meeting in May, if we have someone at each school who will identify, present, top, no, maybe, here's what I'm thinking. Maybe what we do between now and the next meeting is we actually, like if, say for example, Mark goes back to Assabet, talks to the guidance, the sophomore guidance counselor and says, here's the program that's going on. Can you think, there might be, he or she might say there's 25 kids that could be interested in this, but maybe our committee would take 4 trips, but we go to those schools
Sure.
Yeah,
and talk
who
about
Marlboro
the
can
cost
do
and all
that?
that stuff. and
What
see-
Marlboro
see if
can
we
we do that
get-
with?
I'm
Marlboro
sorry,
High,
maybe it's
doing with
individual
Marlboro
stuff.
High,
What
who
do you
can we do
think?
that with?
Individual visits to
Would
these
Craig be
schools
the person
first?
to talk to, or you wanna keep it up a little higher?
One regional thing and try to
I need to talk to somebody to make sure I have identified the right person.
Can you
for
do that as soon as
Sure.
possible and
Yeah,
get that to
yeah.
us?
Oh, yeah, I
Let's
plan on
get a
doing
visit set
I'm
up?
actually
Okay,
gonna
we're
talk to Maureen
running on-
Burley.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
We'll go with the
And start with
subcommittee,
her and
Kathy,
see
to
where
make
we
those
need to go
decisions.
from
We'll go
there.
off.
I'll be at the
Okay.
deck center
So
Friday
I'll
morning.
just leave it as a
Yeah,
subcommittee.
we got a
Okay, you
lot,
can work
a lot
it.
of
Okay,
devil
you'll
in the
work.
details.
I'm there every Monday and
Okay,
Friday.
maybe schools, right, maybe we have the schools
I know, my
identify
morning greeter.
X number of
Let's get
kids.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe to identify
Would
15,
you,
20
someone
kids.
be able
We
to
come
let
back
us
with-
know
Yeah.
what businesses in the area offer tuition reimbursement?
That I don't know.
That would be great. I'm trying to crack that nut. I just thought I'd.
Yeah.
I
I got my son
You know what,
working
Jim,
for
you could send me an email.
Yeah, I would love to.
There's one.
I will forward it. I'm Send me an email and ask me that question. And if you could send me an email and tell me what kind of company you're looking for, what you consider as a large company.
We'll send it to
that
you.
type of thing.
So, just a couple more, just before we wrap up the action item. Victor, Lillian, Steve and I, would you all be willing to meet to vet through this one-stop enrollment center in the mall to see if it's gonna get legs or might have any legs? Maybe we can do that between now and the next meeting? Sure. Is that okay? Okay.
Okay, and our next meeting is May.
Why don't you give us an idea of what that's gonna cost? Maybe we can go out and try to get some sponsorship on that.
Okay, so let us walk through,
Yeah.
let us meet, walk through it, and then Jack, I'll
We see
circle
each other
back
all
with
the
you.
time.
Yeah. We can meet for breakfast.
No. See, I'm here to serve. I didn't know it was breakfast. I didn't know it was breakfast.
Thank you, Lillian.
Sue, what'd you say for a date for our next meeting?
And, the next meeting is May, what? Do you have it? I have it on my phone. I think, but I don't know.
27th?
Wait, do we have a holiday that week?
It's the last Tuesday.
27th?
Is that the day, is that the day after Memorial Day?
Yes.
It is.
May
Is
27th,
that
yeah.
an okay date for everybody?
Would you rather do May 20th?
May 20th would be much better.
Yeah, I think
Senior
so.
week.
Gets away from Memorial Day
I'm
week.
gonna have to check with
Yeah,
them.
I won't be
So
back
can you
till.
check, and if,
You won't be
and
back
just
then?
confirm
No, I
if
will.
it's gonna be the 20th.
Well,
20th.
okay,
Jack's
so
here,
you
sir,
want
we
me
could do it
to
at his
ask them?
house.
I can do that. I can
Move
make
it?
breakfast for
Wait a
everyone.
minute, how is, let's get a consensus. I mean, I have some people saying yes, some people
I
saying
could,
no.
I could do the 27th.
20th, I'm good.
You can do
I can
27th.
do the
It's already booked for the 27th.
All right, so we'll just leave it to 27th.
If
then.
I move the date, what they do here is I have to sign a whole new contract.
Okay.
Yeah, let's
Make
keep it.
sure they're all set.
Right, and I pay more.
You pay more.
So May
Right.
27th?
Yeah.
I can't be here that day, Kim.
You can,
27th.
okay.
It's Memorial Day
Okay.
week, and that's a hard week.
Yeah, it is a hard,
It
that's
is
why
a
I was
hard week
just,
for people, but
Yeah.
You know, I'd
That's
rather have
fine.
the
Yeah.
attendance, I let Steve pay more, because we have more people. I'm good with that,
What's that?
having you pay more.
Oh. Yeah, we'd be broke.
Shiny surface.
27.
Well, okay.
Go ahead.
Please let me, if there's a change, let me know, and then I will make sure it happens. Just one final thing, all of
It's
you.
my anniversary.
Chamber's having its 90th gala
Yes, it'll be great.
Friday night. I would love all of you to join us at the Marlboro Country Club.
Great Gatsby night.
Great Gatsby night.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
I'm going
yeah,
as James
Marlboro
Bond.
Country Club. Good food,
Which one?
good entertainment.
Oh,
Great, thank you.
We do have the Marlboro High
Oh, my
Jazz
Scottish
Band
accent, it's a little
Yes.
word.
as we come in and enter in from 7 to 8, so
When is that?
Friday.
This Friday, it'll be a great night. It really is. And make sure you pencil me in on your dance party.
Great dance, lunches,
Yeah.
everything.
I
Good
think we
man.
should make.
If there's a party, I'm there.
I was looking at that.
Thank you, everybody.